Live from the studios of WTJX, this is Face to Face, the weekly interactive program that focuses on the events that affect the Virgin Islands community, with candid conversations about news, cultures, politics, the arts, and entertainment. And now your host, Addie Ottley.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to another edition of our Face to Face program. And we want to say season's greetings to one and all. Yesterday was something else, huh? Christmas. And the carol singing, and you saw all the broadcasts here on WTJX. It was a lot of fun. We've got a very special program for you tonight, and it's going to be an educational program for the people of the Virgin Islands, and I want you to pay very close attention, if you can, to all of this. I'd first like to welcome to our program Mr. Lawrence Kupfer, who is the CEO of the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. Very good to see you.
Greetings.
How was Christmas for you?
It was great.
Did Santa Claus bring you everything?
Yes, he did.
He did. Very good. And of course, my good friend Kevin Hughes. Kevin, VI Sales Manager of viNGN. Good to see you.
Likewise.
Season's greetings to you.
Same to you.
Did Santa bring everything you wanted?
I was very good this year, so I got everything I wanted, yeah.
Listen to these guys. They were good this year. Santa treated you nice, huh?
As always.
There you go. Very good. No, but this is something that's really exciting for us, all of us here in the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. You've heard the governor talk about this a couple of years ago, and we want you to understand the history and to see from where they were then back there to where we are now and the progress that's being made. So I want to ask Mr. Kupfer to first of all give us a history of this. How did this all come about?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, Governor DeYoung and his administration about 3 years ago applied for 4 federal grants related to building out America's communication infrastructure. These grants were available under President Obama's American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, or ARRA, as everyone refers to it. And what the goal of President Obama was to build out the communication infrastructure in the U.S. and the territories, much like we did with the federal highways in the 50s and 60s. So in essence, we're building a communications highway for data, much like the federal highway system was for cars and trucks, to spur economic development. And that's what this initiative is all about, for job creation here in the territory and to drive the economy as we go forward. More and more jobs require access to the internet. Right. More and more people are telecommuting. They're not going to work, they're working from home. And we need this sort of network and infrastructure so that we can take the Virgin Islands economy through the next 100 years. That's what this is really all about. So 4 years ago, we received 4 grants, about $70 million from the federal government. And I know, it's 4 grants and each is a little different, but they all work together to help give job opportunities for residents here in the territory. And as we go on over the next hour, we'll talk about each of the separate grants, what it's all about, and how it'll help spur and drive economic activity.
Well, and Addie, if I could just jump on to what Mr. Kupfer was saying, the Virgin Islands was blessed because I believe we were the only state or territory that received all 4 of the grants from the federal government.
That's correct, all four grants. And the federal government, really wants us to succeed and accomplish and implement every one of these grants. We talk with the federal government every 2 weeks, give them status reports of where we are in the project. So they're behind us 100%. 100%.
Very good. You're making good progress.
Yes, we are.
Because one of the things we see in our community, the workmen and the work that's going on all throughout the territory, and you'll get a chance to see that. One of the things that you've done recently, it was in the newspaper, and certainly a lot of us are fully aware of, are these new centers that you've opened.
Yes,
that's right. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thus far we've opened 7 public computer centers, and we call them PCCs here in the territory. And I believe we actually have a graphic of the centers that we have open. In St. Thomas, it's the Department of Labor, the New Image Foundation, and the VI Resource Center for the Disabled. In St. Croix, it's the Department of Labor, the Boys and Girls Club.
In Christiansted.
Louis E. Brown Villas, and Walter I. M. Hodge Pavilion. And those are the centers that are open right now. And we ask that people go down and take a look at the opportunities that are there. And we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get into the interview. But we offer the digital literacy program by one of our vendors under the SBA grant, which is called Cyber Learning. And really quickly, you go in, you take the course, the Cyber Learning course, and it teaches you everything or refreshes you depending on where you are. Once you pass that course, you can access over 5,500 data and IT related courses, including preparatory courses for Cisco certification, Microsoft certification, project management, business management, a whole slew of courses, absolutely free of charge. So the message that Larry and I really want to bring to the public is to please go out and take advantage of these courses that have been made possible by the federal government and the local government, and really benefit yourself in terms of the knowledge of data and IT. And like Larry was saying, you get trained there at the Public Computer Center. We also have a component that actually provides actual tangible jobs. And we'll talk about that a little later in the broadcast.
You know, so the public can go in and use the computers at these sites, but really we should think of them as computer classrooms, because that's really the most important thing that's going to be going on there. As Kevin said, they're open to the public, and for free of charge, they can get computer training, all the way from basic digital literacy to some very complex computer training.
That's what I want to emphasize, you know, to our audience. Though there's still people in our community scared of the computer, scared of internet. And I'm telling you, we're living in a society and a world now that's totally global. And unless you can really maneuver in the world of computer literacy, I mean, we're going to be up a creek without a paddle. So while all of this is coming in, I would advise our public folks to, if you're not computer literate, you haven't touched a computer, you don't know anything about computers, but you know you've got to get on this highway, there's ways and means now to do it absolutely free. You get the lessons, get the training, and let's move ahead.
Yeah,
because you can't use the excuses.
All levels of training from people, like you said, who have never touched the computer. There are classes just for that type of person. So there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not you're going to be sitting next to somebody who's, you know, a computer genius. You'll be with, you know, other people just like you getting, you know, the training that you need.
I think that's a very important emphasis that we have to, you know, continue in our community.
And we want to make sure and emphasize, like Larry said, it's wherever you are. So the digital literacy training course is sort of the entry-level course to accessing over 5,500 other higher-tiered data and IT training. But so that I want to say that even if you are a novice, you've never touched a computer before, we want you to come down and take digital literacy. But if you are a computer technician, a pro, or you know what have you, and you want to better yourself in terms of learning the other courses, you take the digital literacy course first, and then you can access any of the other higher level courses. So we envision, you know, and the computer centers are not just for the digital literacy. There'll be folks going down there to do resumes, to surf the web. I mean, you can even go down there and you know, take an online class at a university online. You know, the sky's the limit. You know, we really want the public going out to those 7 public computer centers and taking advantage of what viNGN has made available.
And ultimately, we will have 30 centers.
Too much guava berry, Larry.
Yeah, yesterday was a long day. We'll have 30 centers in St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix.
But we do have some footage of the centers that we're going to show, right? And we'd like to see those because we talk about them, but people who are not familiar and have not gone to the Department of Labor or any of these other sites, you see the location where they are and how they really operate. So let's roll a clip and then go through that, because I think it's very important for our viewers to acclimate themselves to this. This familiar site here in St. Thomas.
Yeah, what we're looking at here is we started in November the construction of trenches, both in St. Thomas and St. Croix. Here we have an Island Roads Corporation crew using a sophisticated trenching tool to dig about an 8-inch wide by a 24-inch deep trench. At the bottom of this trench, we're installing a 6-inch conduit. Through that conduit, we'll eventually install fiber optic cable. So this will be the backbone of our network. It's underground, so it's protected from hurricanes. We're installing there's the conduit, you can see it. We're installing about 20 miles of new trench here in St. Thomas and about 20 miles of new trench in St. Croix. Now, in addition to the new trench we're building, we're also taking advantage of some of Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority existing conduit that they have. So we're installing new conduit, and here you can see the conduit's been put in the ground. We'll run our fiber through here, and we'll run our fiber through existing WAPA conduits, and that will be the backbone of our network. So it'll be secure, protected from hurricanes. This is beginning to look at the Department of Labor Public Computer Center. And Kevin, why don't you talk about it from here?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Here we see the computers that viNGN has provided. The Department of Labor here on St. Thomas, as I mentioned, is one of our sites. And you can see the brand new equipment that is available for the public's use. And I mean, this is really great, Addie.
State-of-the-art.
State-of-the-art equipment, computers, printer, the complete peripheral package is available. So folks can come down, surf the net, like I said, take the cyber learning classes, and really, really move into the 21st century in a big way, courtesy of the Virgin Islands Next Generation Network. And I mean, this is really happening. As Larry said, you know, folks can see us digging our trenches, you know, and really doing the work that needs to be done.
I like this idea because it's a one-on-one situation and learning process, which is really good, and it's there at the Department of Labor and all those other sites that we.
This is a great event. Events in Frederiksted have taken this territory, this island and this territory out of some dark periods, out of slavery in 1848, out of terrible labor conditions in 1878. And today, as we are feeling the hopelessness around us, this event is giving the people of St. Croix and the people of the Virgin Islands hope. And I thank you, James, for making sure that this first hub is in Frederiksted. So I'm just pleased that this is happening at a time when jobs are so much needed. And the wonderful thing about it is that the people that come to get these jobs can do the jobs here at home. It's been heartbreaking to see people leaving, but this way they can stay. So we thank you, and it's great to be a part of this wonderful event.
What we're here today to do is really something that's amazing. I think Larry hit it on the head when he said the dawn of a new era, because it really is the dawn of a new era if you think about it. And even the choice of words that we selected when we thought of the name for the company, because viNGN is a startup company. It started from scratch with 4 grants and a piece of paper that someone put together, we incorporated, and we specifically picked the name Next Generation, because we wanted something to synchronize, to be able that people would find exciting and think of that next generation, particularly as the Virgin Islands begins to move slowly, but now with a certain amount of speed, away from light manufacturing and manufacturing towards a new economy that was going to depend on your educational level, your enthusiasm, and how much you're willing to truly get involved and create your own ideas of what your future can be. So when we're through with this project, the digital literacy that will take place at the PCCs, the learning opportunities, the job opportunities will open up. Virgin Islanders will begin to realize that we're not constrained by geography, we're not limited by 4 islands, but really when you finish high school here, you finish your education, the world is yours. And if that world and that opportunity is to remain here, so be it. If it's not, then at least you know you've got what is necessary. I remember when we started viNGN, it reminded me of the first time I got a cell phone. It was the Razr, the flip phone from Motorola. I remember when I got it, I opened it up, and I also opened up just instruction books. I remember when I got my son the iPhone. He didn't even open up the book. And that tells you how intuitive our young people are and the retraining that is necessary. So today is a great day in terms of the opportunities that are going to open, the amount of money that we're spending in our community. And as Larry said, I think it is the era of a new dawning in the Virgin Islands, and it starts in the place that's part of our history, but I think very much our future. St. Croix, Frederiksted. Thank you very much.
was the official opening?
That was the grand opening for our Connect Space VI hub in Frederiksted. This hub is managed by a company called Better World. We have a contract with Better World, and this is under our Sustainable Broadband Adoption Grant, as the governor said. And at this hub, you can go and learn about the job opportunities that are available through the internet. Right. Better World will assess your skills, and if they think you need training in certain areas, they'll send you off to the public computer centers to get that training. Then once you have that training, they will work with you on resumes. They'll help you find, the online job opportunities that are out there. So it's another place I would encourage people to just go to. Right. Better World's not going to bite you. They'll accept you in, and even if you think you're not ready yet, they will help you understand what training you need and help you get that training to find these opportunities, because they're out there. There are thousands and thousands of opportunities out there on the internet, and websites devoted to finding jobs for individuals who want to do either full-time or part-time internet-based careers.
Well, that's what we want to try to encourage, again, our residents to really get with it, because a lot of people say, oh, there's nothing to do in the Virgin Islands, I can't find any jobs.
There's a lot.
We look good at the Department of Labor and looked at a list. I mean, it's just incredible. There are job opportunities. The question is, are you qualified enough? And if you're not, then, come up to that level, and that's what this is all about.
That's what Better World will do.
It's a crutch
they'll
really
assess
to get
your
up
qualifications
there.
and recommend what training you should go through.
Okay.
And Addie, I just wanted to add really quickly, one of the great things with what Connect Space VI is doing is they're actually creating opportunities. Under the SBA grant, like Larry said, this is where the actual jobs come from, under the viNGN umbrella. So with that said, they are actually opening up what's called a hub. And it's great that they opened up the hub in historic Frederiksted. What a great start for us. We'll also be opening up a hub here in St. Thomas in 2013 as well. Good. But the point is that the hub is an actual place where people physically go for data-related jobs. For example, we'll be opening up a virtual call center in both of our hubs. And basically what that will do is ConnectSpace.vi will connect with stateside based businesses, and the folks who are working in the virtual call center will work for those companies virtually using the bandwidth that is provided by viNGN. Moreover, they're creating additional jobs which will be telework opportunities, meaning that the average Joe citizen here in the U.S. Virgin Islands can actually work for Better World from home, as long as you have an internet connection, which again comes back to the whole fiber project that viNGN is spearheading. Good. So it all, like Larry said, all of these grants tie together in such a perfect way. But we want to focus heavily on the PCC, which is the education, and the SBA, which is the job opportunities, real jobs, good paying jobs here in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Absolutely. And just one thing I want to add to that, in terms of our folks, and said, well, all those jobs are there, but other people outside of the United States have access to that also. Okay? Yes, that's where the competition comes in, and that's why over and over I keep repeating, we have to get our people educated to the level where we can actually, be competitive. And that's the key, because we're under the U.S. flag. That opportunity is available to everybody, anywhere in the United States. But we have the opportunity to get it first here in the Virgin Islands, and it's up to each and every one of you to really take advantage of this opportunity that's coming our way.
Yeah. I think statistics now say that about 70% of the jobs that are out there require internet access.
Absolutely.
And that's growing.
Absolutely.
And teleworking has been growing at 15 to 20% over the last 10 years. So that's really the future. Very
good. In terms of I saw you brought some cable here, and you people are going to be blown away from where, what we were at one point to where we are today in terms of technology.
Yeah.
Take a look. Explain what you have here.
Yeah, Addie, I'd be glad to. What I'm holding in my hand is an actual...
And you can't see it, but he's holding something in his hand. Okay,
we'll hold it, okay. And you can see it moving here.
Yeah.
This is an actual piece of fiber optic cable. This small piece of cable is going to replace this, if the camera will switch, this copper, should I hold it up?
Let me
There
hold
we
it
go.
up. Yeah, this.
So,
See this cable, this is a cable.
right.
Okay?
So this
is being replaced by what he has in his hand.
right.
Amazing.
And it is really amazing that the amount of data and information that we can, thanks to technology, pass through this small piece of fiber. Now, Larry, you want to?
Yeah, I will. But first, I should mention that the company is fortunate that we have on our board a board member by the name of Dr. Peter Schultz.
Okay.
And Dr. Schultz was working at Corning Glass in New York in the 70s.
Okay.
And he and two other individuals got the first commercial patent for fiber optic cable.
Oh, really?
And that fiber optic cable we just looked at is still based on Dr. Schultz's work at Corning. So he's on our
about
board,
that?
and he's been a great asset to the company because he's got a wealth of knowledge related to fiber optic cable networks and installations. What I'm holding up here in my hand, this is a piece of fiber optic cable. This has 24 strands of what Kevin was just holding up. The interesting thing I think to mention is that we're installing, if you took all the fiber we're installing and laid it end to end, we're installing 25,000 miles of fiber optic cable, which is enough cable to go around the world one time. And the speed of this cable, the signals, the light signals, move through this cable at 125,000 miles a second. That means in 1 second, that signal goes around the world 5 times.
Wow.
So that just shows you the speed of this network that we're delivering. The speeds will be unmatched anywhere in the world because fiber optic cable is really the state of the art in communication. And we're building a network that's going to take the Virgin Islands and serve us for 100 years with this network that we're building. And this network will allow people to get the jobs because you can't work on the internet if you don't have access to high-speed, high-capacity networks. So the network is what allows people to work via the internet. The network will attract companies to come down here that need access to these types of networks. We need to remember, and people forget about it sometimes, but in St. Croix, in Frederiksted, Level 3 and AT&T have submarine cable landing stations with cable running to the U.S. And AT&T has the same thing here in St. Thomas. So we have direct access to New York and Miami with submarine fiber optic cable. And people think, well, you're isolated. How can you communicate with the rest of the world? Well, it's through those cables. And again, this signal, signal goes around the world 5 times in 1 second. So somebody could be half a world away, and in less than half a second, signals have bounced back and
well, that's what a lot of companies are doing. I mean, people in the United States or here in the Virgin Islands communicating with folks in China and Japan, different.
It's the way of the future.
Cycle.
And this is actually an example of the submarine cable that Larry was just referencing. And you see I don't know how well we can see it on camera, but the outer coating is really just a protection. But that last fiber is really what is transmitting the information, and that's the same fiber that Larry was just referencing.
Yeah, and I believe that one also has 24 strands.
Exactly.
Of fiber.
That little thing has 24 strands.
That little thing has 24.
There you go.
In it.
And this will be the way, as Larry alluded to. The viNGN network is connected to both Miami and New York, but we will also be connecting St. Thomas to St. Croix with an undersea cable, just like this. And viNGN is working with some of the biggest names in data and IT: Alcatel-Lucent, Cisco, UDT, AEG. I mean, these are giants when it comes to data and technology. So if there's anyone that's thinking to themselves, are these guys serious? Are these guys for real? Yeah, we're the real deal, and we're dealing with industry professionals who know how to build this network.
And we're the only company that's got a board member that is the inventor of fiber optic
Yeah,
cable.
how can you beat that?
Nobody can
beat
that.
that situation.
No,
definitely.
What about the connectivity now for the average person in the home? I understand the satellite operation that you have now. How do we connect people in Tutu, Bordeaux, who are at home
what
with
you'll
the
see,
system?
and you've seen some examples of it around the territory, we're building fiber access buildings. fiber access points, we call them. Here in St. Thomas, there's one just behind Vitima down by the airport, which you may have seen. We're building in St. Thomas 12 fiber access points. In St. Croix, I believe it's 13 fiber access points, and we've got a couple in St. John. So our backbone network that we're building will go into these hubs, and we will have communication equipment and switches in there. From those buildings, we will tie to community anchor institutions. These are government offices, healthcare facilities. Every school in the territory will be connected to the network, all federally funded. And then also from there, we will be connecting to businesses and to homes, and people will be going to their internet service provider to get that service. There are companies out there that are interested in bringing fiber directly to residences. So that's in the works. viNGN won't be installing that fiber, but that'll be another company that will hook up to our network and run fiber directly to residents and businesses here in the territory.
So we'll all have high-speed access.
We will all have high-speed access.
But Addie, I want to just emphasize what Larry was just saying. viNGN is a wholesale middle mile, middle mile provider. So we sell our bandwidth to the ISPs, and then the ISPs sell the bandwidth to the customers at a lower price based on the rate that they've gotten from us. So viNGN is not competing with any of the ISPs. In fact, we work together to service the community.
And that's
key for folks who may not have heard or been at any of our meetings or press releases to understand. We are not in a competitive situation. We are in a situation to better the territory through servicing the ISPs with cheaper, faster internet service, which they will then turn over to the consumer.
What's the timetable for completion?
We will be complete with the next with the network, the complete build out by July of next year. Different people should be starting to see improved services towards the end of the first quarter or beginning of second quarter next year, because the network will grow from these hubs, fiber access points we just talked about. But we will be complete by July of next year with the network.
That's good. So that's the backbone. Really?
Yes.
There you go.
And which is something that we need, and again, we can take advantage of.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I use the analogy of the highway system, and I'll use it again. The government built the highways. The government is building this middle mile network, but it's open to anybody to use. Just like you see different trucking companies on highway systems, you'll see different ISPs using our data highway, and they will create unbelievable things to do with our network that we're not even envisioning right now, are possible. But these ISPs and service providers, once they see the capability of what we have, data, phone, TV, all can come over the network. Yeah.
And I have to say that the initial reactions to us have been positive and very favorable. So viNGN looks forward to working with each and every service provider here within the territory. It's an open access network. We welcome all to participate in what the federal government and the local government has provided, because it will benefit all of us. It will truly take us into the 21st century in a big way.
Okay, but overall, and we appreciate that, but overall, is it going to be cost effective?
Prices should go down, and service and capacity go up.
Tell me, prices are going down?
If your price doesn't go down, you should be looking for another internet service provider. Because again, as Kevin said, we're the wholesaler. We're not the retailer. And so we got a very good deal. We have a 15-year agreement with Level 3, which is the old Global Crossing company that runs the Frederiksted cable landing station. We have a 15-year agreement to use 2 of their cables, one to New York, one to Miami, at very attractive rates. We will in turn be passing those savings on to the providers on our network. We're not, viNGN is not into this to make lots of money because of the network. We're into this because we want to see the real benefit, which is job creation and economic activities here in the territory.
Right.
So if we're charging too high a price, that means people won't be taking advantage of the network. So we've defeated the purpose of building the network. So we need to maintain our network, so we'll charge to cover the cost of our lease agreement with Level 3. We need to maintain the network. We need to maintain the public computer centers, and we need to grow the network over time. That's the type of thing that'll be built into our rates. But the object isn't to make lots of money, because then you defeated the purpose of having the network.
But I wanted to announce, the day after Christmas, that hey, our rates are going to go down.
Well,
it should go.
Well, one of the things
they will.
One of the things too is that for all of us who live here within the territory, I was just trying to download a movie the other day. It takes a lot of time, sometimes even a day, depending on where you are or who your service provider is. With the viNGN network, you'll be able to download a movie in a matter of seconds, and I think every viewer can understand that. When you go to Netflix, when you're doing any transaction on the internet, if I'm telling you that it's going to be just like that, it's going to be just like that. And that's courtesy of the viNGN network, because of the huge amount of bandwidth that we have purchased through the contracts that we have, and then we're passing on those lower rates onto the ISPs.
That's really fantastic. We talk about job opportunities. One of the things I'm concerned about is, have you all been to the schools, the high schools?
Yes.
College, in terms of, again, getting to, especially the younger folks, the young people in our community, the opportunities in technology as we move forward with something like this.
Yeah, we have a goal of, one of the goals of the Sustainable Broadband Adoption Program is to have 2,500 residents take and pass the digital literacy course. 1,500 of those are targeted at youth. Okay. So yes, we have our eye on the youth. We've had several meetings over the last couple of weeks with the Department of Education, because this network can be a real asset for them. Because if you think about just how much of education is now online, and the type of things you have access to, the textbooks, are really now more online than having a physical copy of that textbook. So this will give the Department of Education here in the territory, tremendous access to the worldwide web at low cost and very high speeds. Same with the university. They'll get a connection. It'll also benefit the hospitals through the use of telemedicine. Again, all the hospitals and healthcare providers here in the territory will be connected to our network. So, if you can envision, you might be having a video conference with your doctor, with an expert in a particular field, and he may be in Seattle, Washington. I don't know who he's picking up. But he's the expert in that field. And you can have an online exam, if you will, with that doctor because of this network. There'll be all health records will be stored electronically as we go forward. And so doctors here will be able to access maybe a medical record from if you used to live someplace else. They'll have access to those records. But the things you can do are really limitless.
And it sounds fantastic, but it's happening.
Real. It's real. That's the point I want to get across. That it's
and what's inhibited us is we don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to take advantage of some of the things that are going on today. But this network and what we're building will allow us to take advantage of those things.
But again, it's the opportunities for jobs.
Yes.
That's really the key. And I would hope that everybody understands exactly what this really means to the Virgin Islands. It's opening a whole new world, and it's really huge. And the impact in our economy and, of course, our educational system, the whole 9 yards, is going to be quite different in a couple of years from now. And again, if you're not on that highway, you're going to be left behind. So it's very important. And no one has any excuses, in terms of becoming computer literate. The facilities are now available to start now, even if you've never touched a computer in your life, from the Department of Labor and some of the other outlets here on St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John, and get moving on it, because when the world, says move.
We'll be left behind if we don't.
We've got to be with that, and then that's
jump
very
on the
important.
bandwagon.
And Addie, you know, there's a strong track record that suggests that viNGN is going to be successful. And that track record is India. India was able to transform itself from a third world nation into a data superpower based on the same metrics and the same infrastructure that we are employing right here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The building of the fiber optic network, the virtual call centers. These are all components that you will find in India. We have expanded on that with, as Larry said, the training in the public computer centers, also the training at connectspace.vi with their boot camp telework sessions that they offer, but then the actual tangible jobs that are being created. You know, in fact, Larry and I were just at a meeting just yesterday where we were looking at the job creation that has already resulted as a result of connectspace.vi. Larry, you want to talk about a little bit about that?
What Better World, who's managing the ConnectSpace VI hub, has now entered into a professional services agreement with a company called Sungevity. They are a U.S.-based company that installs solar panels primarily on homes. They need engineers to do the design, you know, of how the solar panel gets mounted on the roof, you know, how the electrical wiring will work and get into, you know, the electrical system in the house. So they are working with Better World, and we're looking for Virgin Islands residents who have CAD/CAM experience. They will work for Sungevity from the territory and make the designs for some of these home installations that could be, you know, anywhere in the U.S. Additionally, Sungevity is looking to make the territory as a place that they will do business in, to install solar panels on existing residents that were here, which would then give more job opportunities for people, you know, to design the system, but also to install the systems on the homes. So, a very exciting opportunity with the signing of that contract with Sungevity, and they continue to work. They're having discussions right now with Deloitte on accounting positions that the accountants would be here, but working remotely for Deloitte clients around the world.
Isn't that great?
They're working with UVI to make sure that UVI is then graduating accountants that maybe could fill some of these positions. And right now, Deloitte has got 10,000 outsourced positions in India. And they're looking to bring some of those positions, not the people, to the Virgin Islands. Awesome. Because some of the outsourcing that they've gone hasn't worked quite as well as they had expected. So some companies are starting to bring outsourced positions back to the U.S. And the U.S. Virgin Islands would be an ideal place to move some of those positions back to. So we have Sungevity, who they're talking to. We have Deloitte, who Better World is talking to.
And others.
So, yeah.
And the key is all of this good work is happening in advance of the network even being up and running.
Right.
And that's proof positive, you know, to the good work that the people at connectspace.vi are doing, Matt Bauer and Jim Kennefick and their team, you know. But it also speaks volumes of the viNGN team, you know, and Larry as our CEO, he comes, you know, with years of experience with his background. You know, from Hovenza and beyond. Dr. Peter Schultz, as he mentioned, you know, is the inventor of fiber optics. Our executive board, you know, chaired by our governor, the Honorable John P.D. Young Jr., who his administration was the one who applied for the grants in the first place, and it was his vision that has led to where we are. Other board members, Hugo Hodge.
And we have a strong partnership with WAPA. We're using their utility poles for the network. And as I said, we're using their existing underground conduit for the network.
Right.
So they're a strong partner with viNGN.
Keith O'Neill.
Keith O'Neill of O'Neill Trucking is a board member, and Al Bisholti. Everybody knows the Bisholti family name. He's a member of our board as well.
Good.
So we have a strong background in terms of the executive board. We interface with the PFA and the Office of the OEO, which is Vicki Johnson and her team, Ken Farrington, Joy Wheatley, and that crew over there. They interface with viNGN and my team directly, and we work together. So I mention this to say that viNGN today is a very strong and vibrant company. If you come by and take a look at our people, behind the scenes, it's young, active, people who are knowledgeable about broadband, and people who really care about this territory. And I think under Larry's leadership, we're making a difference, and you can see the actual work being done. So that's it. It's right there.
Yeah, we've got about 26 employees now, all hardworking and dedicated employees. I hope they had a nice holiday yesterday. And but you need to get back in the office and back to work.
Yeah, that's Larry.
We got a network
Back to work.
to finish.
Back to work.
Yes, but it's a great company. And I think, as Kevin's pointing out, we're a strong company. We're going to get this done because it's vitally important to the territory. Right. Part of the reason I took this job was when it was announced that Hovenza was closing. I knew the Hovenza closing would have a big impact on the territory, and that the territory needed something to move it forward, and that's really what I saw in this network. So we've absolutely got to get it done, and people need to come into the public computer centers and get the training and prepare themselves for the future.
That's the point of all of this. At least what I really want to just sensitize the community to, because the opportunities are going to be there. Just
That's
like
right.
this.
They're already materializing.
Exactly. And if you're not ready, you're going to be sitting.
And by the way, Addie, I forgot to mention one of the key components. When you go to the Public Computer Center and you take the digital literacy training course, at the completion of the course, you receive a certificate from Potsdam University of the State University of New York system, which certifies that you are digital literate. You have been trained. Right. And then from there you access the volume of courses that are available. But these courses are for the unemployed, the underemployed, for veterans, for seniors, for children. We want everyone coming into the Public Computer Center. And that was the vision of President Barack Obama. This was why he created these grants, not only to stimulate the economy, which is what we're doing in terms of awarding, all of the monies going to local vendors and local businesses to help stimulate our local economy, but to also improve the education and job opportunities that are here. And again, viNGN is doing that. We're meeting the mark in terms of delivering.
Yeah. And as you said, Addie, it's really all about job creation. We're not the network. It's fascinating from a technical standpoint, but the purpose of the network is to create jobs for people. And so the end result is jobs. That's what we're hoping this network and the other things that we're doing will. But you need people to come in. You got to come. You got to come in.
That's the key.
You got to come in.
And like you said, they're not going to bite you. Just go on in. Because again, those jobs that are being created, they're not being created, and they're not being just in the Virgin Islands. They're available to a whole lot of people.
Yep.
Okay. And if they're qualified, they're the ones who are going to get the job.
That's
no question about that. So it is very important that parents encourage your youngsters, those that are computer literate, to monitor this situation, because the opportunities for juniors and seniors now is so much greater today than it was 2 years ago, and even right here in the Virgin Islands. Like again, because we live in this global society, you really don't have to leave the Virgin Islands to go to New York to get a job, or to Texas or somebody else.
No.
You can do it right here in the Virgin Islands, and that's the future.
Networks and jobs like these are what's going to help us deal with the energy challenges we're facing. Gone are going to be the days when people are going to be flying around the world on trips, because it's just going to become too expensive with fuel. So more and more video conferencing will be done, and telecommuting, and working from home. So you don't have to spend $4 or $5 a gallon on gasoline every day, because you're working from home.
Good.
You don't have to drive and use expensive fossil fuels every day. Pollution will be reduced because of that. So it's definitely part of what will help the world deal with the energy challenges it faces as well.
And once this network is built, jobs will come here, physically come here. And they will open up shop. Just like Sungevity is looking at that, jobs will now see that the infrastructure that they always wanted to be here in the Virgin Islands is now here. So they can physically move their companies here and create new opportunities. So there'll be physical opportunities that will come about, and as Larry said, there'll be telework opportunities that will come about. But it's all about taking the U.S. Virgin Islands from where we were to the next level, and we will become leaders within the Caribbean, data leaders within the Caribbean. That's
Oh, yeah.
that's the vision.
Every
big
sector of this economy will be benefit. If you think about the tourism, you know, the hotels will have access to our network. You know, and people make a decision where they go on vacation. Well, am I going to stay connected with work? Am I going to be able to do a little work?
Right.
You know, you
All
come
the
to the
big
U.S. Virgin
factors.
Islands, you will be. You'll be amazed what capabilities you'll have from some of the hotels. Maybe they'll want to spend more time at the hotels.
And you know, and you know,
Exactly.
Addie, the thing too that I would like to really say is that we know that many people have computers and they have access to computers in their homes and they have smartphones, but we know that many people don't. And this project, the PCC grant, was designed to service and help those people so that they know that there are opportunities. Whether you're a young child, you know, who needs access to the computer, you don't have one at home, you need your homework done, you can come to the Public Computer Center. Maybe you're a veteran who needs to access VA benefits, you don't have a computer at home, you can go to the PCC. You're a senior, you're an adult, whoever you are. Like I said, if you wanted to go to an online university, you could do that at the PCC, all for free. Yeah. This is a huge gift that has been given to us by the federal government, with the PFA being the recipient of the grant and viNGN being the subrecipient. But we are here to administer these funds, to make sure that they are allocated properly and that they go to the right places, which we are doing that. And we really want the community to understand and benefit. And that's why we're here today, is to inform and to educate.
Yeah, our centers are open, so we need to get the word out to
Well,
to come on in.
You're always welcome, you know, to get the word out here. And I just want to be sure that you guys go into the schools and all the other nook and crannies of the community to make them aware. I just want to go through this one more time in terms of this cable.
Sure.
Because to me, it's amazing that this is where we were.
Well, there's nothing that beats.
I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they
look
refer
at this
to.
thing,
You know, people may have heard
and
the term a
I'm
twisted
saying,
pair.
You know, it's just unreal from this to that.
That's right.
It's just amazing.
And carry the same amount, if not more, data.
And much faster.
Much faster.
Unbelievable.
And that's made with very expensive copper, where this is basically silicon, sand, is what makes up the fiber optic.
The world
cable.
is changing.
The world has changed.
Okay.
And the Virgin Islands now is ready to step up to the plate, thanks to viNGN.
Yeah, very good. Give us a little background on yourself, your experience.
Sure.
From whence you came.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in New Jersey, and I've lived in St. Croix now about 15 years. First came down here to work at the refinery. Mechanical engineer undergrad and MBA degree. So I came down here for Hess in 1989, working at the refinery. Was involved in the creation of the joint venture, and ran Hovenza for about 6 years as president and chief executive officer. I left Hovenza in 2009 and wanted to spend more time with the family and the kids. Got them off to college. And then came the announcement of the Hovenza closure, and I got a phone call from the governor and some of the other board members, you know, talking to me about coming in and taking over the company. As I explained to the governor and the other board members, you know, I'm not a telecommunications person, but I saw this as a construction project. And as you saw in the film, you know, that's a civil construction project. You know, I'm not a fiber optic cable expert. We have the experts, so I don't need to be a fiber optic cable. But we needed project managers to award contracts to get the work done. And just over the last couple months, we've awarded just a little over $20 million in construction contracts. And we have about another $6 million in construction contracts to go. So in January, we'll really start to see some of the construction activity pick up. The trenching that you saw will go on probably through March into April, but you'll see crews installing, you know, this fiber that's on big reels. They'll be pulling it through underground conduit. They'll be putting it on utility poles, and that'll be going on throughout the territory in St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John. But oil industry background, but it came into this because I just saw it was vitally important to the territory, and I felt I could manage it from a project standpoint. It needed a little kicking to get going, and we've got it going.
You got it down pat
we
now,
got it. We got it going. We've got great employees, as we said, and they're all doing great work. and we're just about done with the procurement phase, and then we'll really, gear up into construction. And these jobs are going to, stimulate the economy. So it'll be good for the territory to get some of these local laborers out there working.
Absolutely. And while I'm going to get to you, Kevin, but if our producer would just bring up that tape again, that video clip, I think is very important for people to take a look at what is happening now here in our community. And Kevin, you're from whence you came on board, viNGN.
Yeah, it's
one thing to the other.
Well, I have 15 years of telecom experience. Went to school for that. Lived in New York for a very, very long time.
That's where I met you.
Working in the field.
Yeah.
But I'm from here. I'm born, bred, and raised here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, here in St. Thomas, and I'm one of those, I guess, lucky few that you don't find many of us who have worked for both innovative and for choice. Yeah. But I'm one of that, I guess you could call us elite group, who has had the opportunity to, to work for both, of those companies, and then make the transition over to viNGN, where it's a great bunch. I get to work with, with Larry and get his experience and his knowledge in terms of project management. Dr. Schultz, who invented fiber optics. These are the people that I talk to every day. Vicki Johnson from the OEO. So I get to benefit from their experience, and then what I add to the table, I think, is what makes this team a strong team and a positive team. And, just like what Larry was saying, viNGN right now is about being positive. It's about making positive change in the community, and I think that's what we're focusing on.
Yeah, and what Kevin brings to the table, as he said, he's 15 years in the telecom business, a lot of that here in the territory. So he's a known and trusted entity.
Yeah.
And we need that. For a startup, that's what you need. You want to look and say, okay, I know that guy, I trust that individual, and that's what Kevin brings to the table.
Okay, let's take a look again.
Sure.
For those of you who may have joined us late, but you want to go those of you who've seen it, let's go over this again, because I think it's extremely important to see where we are. Go ahead. There we go.
As we said, this was some of the trenching work that's going on here in St. Thomas. And here in St. Thomas, we're building 20 miles of this trench, and we're putting in a 6-inch conduit that will hold the fiber optic cable that we've used as a prop here. That's an 8-inch wide trench, about 24 inches deep. And they're building at about 700 feet a day of that trench. And so they put a 6-inch piece of conduit. There's the conduit there that gets glued together and dropped into that trench. It gets filled up. The trench gets filled up with conduit. Concrete.
Concrete. Yeah, which I think is better, because all the stuff we've seen before was asphalt.
This gets filled up with concrete. Yeah. Then we will come back and scrape off some of that concrete and the asphalt and pave a new asphalt will go on top of it. Here you can see this has got the concrete poured back in place. So we'll come back, scrape off about 4 inches of the concrete and asphalt, and lay down a new piece of asphalt, so the road will be fine.
That's very good. So the disruption that you see as we drive in and around St. Thomas, you know what it's all about.
Yeah, I apologize
you see the stop
for that,
sign, everybody's got to wait. What the heck is going on here?
Yes, and they close, a couple thousand feet of road, and they move along.
Yeah.
So it's not real long sections that they're closing.
It's being done
like
very
we said,
efficiently.
it'll be going on to March and into April. And so it will be a little bit of an inconvenience, but
we apologize.
You heard what it's
that.
bringing to the territory,
right.
And so a little bit of pain will be worth a lot of gain later.
For sure. But again, the emphasis is creating jobs, job opportunities, and not only for businesses but for individuals too. And that we want everybody to be able to take advantage of that. The youngsters that are in college and high school now, they're computer literate. They know what time of the day it is, and so we're not so worried about them, because their future looks much, much brighter. And again, this thing about having to leave the island, you're not going to be able to You're not going to have to do that
No,
if you don't want to.
people will be
You know,
coming here
seriously.
for jobs and opportunity.
Exactly.
And you know, to piggyback on what Larry was saying, viNGN is working simultaneously on both St. Thomas and St. Croix in terms of laying the fiber optic network.
Yeah.
So we are feverishly working to make sure that we adhere to the deadline set by the federal government, and we're going to make it.
Good. That's good news.
Yes.
So we don't lose any money. The money
Nope.
is taken
Nope.
away
Nope.
from
We're
us.
not gonna
and
lose
we
any
use
money.
it's 70 million.
Yeah,
plus
about
dollars?
70 million.
Yeah.
About 60 million is going towards the construction of the network.
Yeah.
And then there's about 10 million going towards the computer centers, the sustainable broadband adoption program. And also the fourth grant we haven't talked about much, but we're working with WAPA to help them plan for their smart grid. And these are intelligent systems that in the future will help everybody reduce energy consumption.
Right.
You know, the ultimate goal of a smart grid might be that, well, your refrigerator is on at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to turn it off for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so overall power demand will go down and your power bill goes down, that sort of thing. We're also working with the Lieutenant Governor's office on a street addressing project.
Okay.
So that when you call 911, they'll know exactly where you're calling from. And so that's another important aspect of what we're doing with some of this grant money. So we've got about $10 million in the other three grants that we're talking about, for a total of $70 million that's being provided by the government. The Virgin Islands government then provides about $30 million in funding. So the Senate approved a bill about 2 years ago that created viNGN, and they went out and raised about $30 million
money.
to be what's referred to as the local match in these grants. So in total, you know, it's about $100 million of expenditures for the network and these other programs that we've talked about.
Great infrastructure, no question about that. That's
Yep.
going to benefit, you know, people in the future here in the Virgin Islands, and that's positive, and I'm really excited about that. Seriously,
And we
because
are
I
too.
know the potential. You go stateside and deal with some of the stuff that they're dealing with. It's just, you know.
And that's the
incredible.
thing, is that people always, you know, when they travel, they always say, you know, bandwidth in the States versus bandwidth
Exactly.
here. And thanks to viNGN, you know, we're going to have stateside speeds, stateside pricing right here in the U.S. Virgin Islands.
That's really good news the day after Christmas, huh? I mean,
Yes,
I really
it
love
is.
that.
It's a good
Very
gift.
good. It's a
Good
good
gift
gift
for everybody,
for the people of the Virgin Islands, you know. So that's about all the time we have for programs such
Okay.
as this. Continue, and you're welcome to come back anytime.
Well, thank you. As we
You
get
want to
closer,
be there right.
That's right. We get closer to completion, we should take you out to some of the sites.
Absolutely.
And
That's
you
what-
can see some of the fiber that were showed today
Yeah.
in operation, some of the switching equipment. Go inside some of the fiber access points. We'll let you surf the web at 1 gigabyte per second.
Hey, I can't wait for that. Push a
you
button
know,
and, oh, there it is.
There it is, yes.
Exactly.
And,
but that's
yeah.
great. So we look forward
We
to
will
that.
have those
and
capabilities.
We'll be back for
Yes.
sure, okay?
Okay, Addie,
and we
thank
want
you
to
very
thank
much.
everybody, you know, for viewing tonight, and really take advantage, take heed of what, you know, you learned tonight, and take advantage of the opportunities that we're given here in the Virgin Islands, okay? And that's about it. We've got Three Kings Day and New Year's Day and all that stuff to come. Still a lot of work to do.
That's
Okay.
A lot
right.
of work to do.
So
And we just want to say, you know, Merry Christmas, Happy Festival.
Happy Kwanzaa,
Happy
the whole
Kwanzaa.
nine yards,
and,
okay.
and the entire Virgin Islands from Virgin Islands Next Generation Network.
and from all of us here at WTJX. Have a great week, everybody.